All right. So I always like to start off with you first. So are there any specific questions that you have or need to be answered about any part of the process?
Um, yeah, I have a
Okay.
small question.
Okay.
Uh, so our initial discussion board posts due every Monday at 8 a.m.
Yes, they are. I'm going to share my screen with you too.
Okay, and then we have a project due Monday 8 a.m. too, right?
Yes, we do. And I am going to, when we're done here and I post this, I'm going to post the template as well that you can use to kind of give everybody a better look and feel as far as to what it is.
Okay. Pardon the noise. I'm just gonna get myself a glass of water.
Okay, so what's going to happen here? Here's our discussion. So our first week 2 is Michael Bishop,
Okay.
and the initial uh, post is going to be done on Monday. And I'm going to post tomorrow, like kind of a pre-brief, if you will, where everybody kind of jumps in and takes a look at who's playing what role as far as the participants in the case.
Okay.
And then once they do, once you kind of get engaged with that, then you could probably have a pretty good feel where everybody is. Take a look at the template that I'm going to post, and
So
then
I'm sorry. What's due Monday morning? Is that like what is going to be graded for the 10 points? Is that like the final, like the 6 to 8 page final product?
yes, correct. So that is due, and that's due because if we go through all the entire discussions, uh, it won't, it'll have all the answers to it. So it'd be pretty
Right,
simple to get. So we want everything preloaded and then jump into the discussions to make it more meaningful. That was the whole purpose behind it.
okay. I read that this course is actually very difficult and that the grading is um, done like very strict with the case studies. Is there, I didn't see a rubric, but I'm sure there is one tucked away somewhere. Is there a rubric that lists every requirement for these case studies?
Yes,
Just so I
absolutely.
know how to, okay.
Yeah, and I will post those as well. Who's been getting you worried about the course? Is it something on a blog somewhere?
Yep. Yeah, I
Oh,
saw
it
it
is.
on the Facebook page.
Oh, okay. This course is actually it's very real world focused, so it's actually a lot of fun.
Okay.
So you will put in the work for it, but that's good because the more that you put into it, the more you get out of it. So you you
Right.
will you will enjoy this. Trust me.
As long as
Trust me.
we
Said
don't
the
get
car.
like points off for like, little things that that was not listed on the rubric or whatever. Yeah, I had that experience with another class once, so I'm just kind of sensitive to it as well.
Okay, well, do me a favor then, if you would. And under assignment details, rubrics, and guidelines, here's the case analysis rubric right here. Then do me a favor. I'm talking to everybody now since they're going to be able to watch this. Um, when I grade, I go right down this rubric, and if you meet it, you meet it. If you don't, you don't. It's
Okay, this seems
pretty
pretty
much that simple.
right. This does seem very clear. Okay, good. And did you make this rubric or did someone else? And
No, I did not make the rubric. It was done by, oh, geez. Um,
the course designer?
can't remember the name. I think it was Dr. I want to say Wilson that made it, but I can't be certain. He taught it last term.
Okay.
But yeah, it's very straightforward. Who are the key stakeholders? If you don't get the key stakeholders, then you lose a point. And
Right.
if
Okay.
and it's that simple. So if you read the rubric and follow the template that I have, uh, you're going to do just fine.
Okay, great. Yeah, this does seem very clear.
Yeah. So if anybody is confused about how this goes or anything else, just feel free. I'm available by phone. I'm available by Zoom. So I'm really easy to get a hold of, available by email. So just let me know your questions as we go forward, because some of the things, it is a little bit different as far as when due dates are, being on Monday of the start of the week. So, that can get a little confusing the first go around. But once you get into the flow of things, it just clicks away, bang, 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 bang. And you'll enjoy it, and you'll get a lot out of it. Absolutely.
Right. Okay.
And let's go back to, if we could here, there's our weekly discussions. The weekly discussions are already starting off well. I had a question about that from a couple people, so I want to kind of talk about that here for just a second, if you would. They said, where do we jump in and do our participation posts? So instead of doing the one that was part 1, Monday, Tuesday here, jump in to what is ID expertise, and that's a great place to do your participation posts and just flow through those.
So we didn't need to respond to the part 1 where like everyone says their role. Like I was Louise, and I didn't need to respond to someone else on that part, right?
Correct. Just the initial was due then. The initial response.
Right. Gotcha.
Okay. Yeah, and then part 2, what is ID expertise? Because that question can be answered in so many different ways depending on where you're looking from.
Right.
That's why it's an important conversation to have amongst us all.
It's a good thought-provoking question.
Yeah, because something that I may have, a skill that I may have that I think is just absolutely imperative, doesn't matter in a different industry. It's pretty much, it's as simple as a rubric. It's that simple. Some things simply don't matter elsewhere. But as long as you have a good solid foundation in design, you're going to be able to adapt to wherever you go, no matter the industry.
Right.
Yeah. So any other questions? Then we'll jump into it.
Nope, no other questions for me.
Oh, okay. So we're good with the rubric and all that?
Yes, I will look it over, and then I'll definitely let you know. Or I can just ask in the discussion board thread where you can post questions to the whole class. I can post the questions there so everyone else can see them.
Okay.
If I do have them.
Okay, good. And then if anybody, and this is for everybody, if anybody needs a quick question answered, text message is very simple. 760-912-9242. Just send it. I can respond rather quickly, but of course, if it's a lengthy reply that's needed, that's probably not the best method. That's one of those, is this correct, or do we need, one of those questions that can be answered quickly and simply.
Right.
And I don't know if anybody's run into lessons learned Padlet yet. I'm going to kind of show that every week once we're done, if it comes up, of course. It may not, just may decide not to come up. We're starting with the Craig Gregerson case, lessons learned. So you're going to be posting all your thoughts about lessons learned right here. And the way to do that is simply just click the plus button and title it and start writing. Title and then write something. So, and that is going to be a part of the participation points, putting in lessons learned. And that can be a wide variety of things that happen. So the first one is Craig. We looked at Craig's case this week. And then do I have these? Is Michael Bishop next week? I think I got these two backwards. So I'll flip them around if I did. And we'll just go week by week. Boom, 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 boom. Lessons learned is in there. And then you can look at what everybody else is putting as well, because whatever's there is open for anyone to read.
Okay.
Because that's exactly what should happen. And then here's our ID expertise. Didn't want that one. Some excellent discussions going on here, by the way. Feel free to not use only text. Feel free to embed videos. I think I embedded a video somewhere in here. Yeah, I embedded a video in here. So feel free to do the same thing, because it makes it kind of interesting and a little more, it draws you in a little bit more when we do things like that. So feel free to do that, and to embed it, just grab the embed code out of YouTube and paste it in the HTML portion for the discussion. And let's jump back here and look at our week 2 discussion. Any question on week 1? I think week 1 is flowing out really nice. It's just kind of a let's get things started week. And then week 2, oh, I'm already at week 3. How about that? Okay, and I did have them wrong. Michael Bishop is week 2, and we're going to have the debate. This was a good one. I don't know if anybody's used appreciative inquiry before. That's a great tool that I'm going to talk about in another announcement prior to Michael Bishop. But it's kind of a way to, when you're working with somebody that's feeling frustrated or maybe a little resistant to things, you can use appreciative inquiry to take that frustration energy and put it in a positive direction where we're getting the results that we need. So we're going to have some fun arguing this week. We're going to argue absolutely yes, absolutely no, and have some fun with it. That's part of the entire process, because even if you don't believe it, have some fun with it and take that hard stand and see what you get from it, because that's a great way to learn, just like a debate in school where you had to pick a side and then you had to argue that side. So if you believe it, it gives you a more solid perspective, and if you don't, it gives you a better perspective because it teaches you how to argue against yourself as well.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
So week 2, we're not able to view it yet. It hasn't been like published or whatever. Can you publish that soon so we can start before the weekend?
Absolutely. I will, I'll open that now, and I'm going to post the, if it chooses to flow while we're here on Zoom, and then I'm going to post the template and everything else. Either try to get in there tonight, but it'll definitely be there tomorrow. Thursday is usually the planned date on when the next week is opened up, so we can focus in on one week and then we jump into the next one.
Gotcha. Thank you.
You're welcome. So that's open now. And course assignments, if we could look at that. So in the assignment is where the paper is due at 8 a.m. on Monday. So Michael Bishop case is due the Monday that we start that discussion. So that's what, 4 days from now? So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 5 days from now it's due. So that's why I'm going to post everything. I'm going to post an interactive video where we can guess on who's doing what role, things like that, kind of give you a little bit of my perspective. You can take that perspective and run with it. You can take that perspective, throw it away, whatever you like. You are the author of this document, so don't let anybody sway your opinion. Take in what you choose to take in and reject what you choose to reject. That's absolutely part of the process. It's due on Monday at 8 a.m. and the template will be self-explanatory. I should have actually had that brought up. I'm going to unshare my screen for just a minute, and I will bring up that template because I think that might be something good to chat about right now. So give me just 1 second. Open that up. Great. And I will bring it over here. Okay, let me share this out one more time. So you were talking about the paper, 6 to 8 pages. First thing you want to do is don't make it boring, because now we are acting as designers who may be out to contract out work, things like that. So we want to make it as engaging as possible right up front. So be creative with your cover. Feel free to do that. You can use this one if you like, or you can make something absolutely better. And here it is. This follows the rubric point by point by point. So if you fill in all of these, you won't miss anything in the rubric. Not saying it's going to be 100% as far as the content that you put in there goes, but you will hit all the points within the rubric. And if you notice, all I did was make misspellings. Thank you very much. Whoops. All I did was take the parts and pieces from the rubric and put it in a template. So and the only reason why I put in a template like this is to show you that, yes, there are ways. Let's get creative. We're not going to make just an academic type document. We're going to make a usable type document that somebody in the business of, like in this next week, Michael Bishop, would actually take and read. So we don't want the academic look. You want that business look and feel. So they jump in. And one of the biggest things that we do in academia as opposed to business is in academia, we put all the support information up front and then make the point. Well, in business, you have to flip that. You have to put the key point and then all the supporting data, because they want to know right up front, because not everybody wants to read the whole thing. So they're going to pick the points that they want to read. So for these analyses, specifically get used to just making the point and then supporting it. Don't put all the supporting information and then the point, because if we want to kind of have that practice, so whatever industry that Michael's in or Lynn or any of the others that we're going to look at the case, they'll take this and they'll be able to get exactly what they need quickly. Because we have to operate as designers, we really have to operate from the great perspective of nobody reads, nobody listens, nobody cares. So we have to create documents that create that reading, listening, and caring.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
Where is this template in Blackboard?
It will be posted in the
okay.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to post it in the announcement on Thursday. Well, hopefully tonight if I can finish getting I ran into a minor snag with the interaction on a video I was making, but I could probably hopefully overcome that tonight, and I'll post everything tonight. So I look forward to seeing everybody being creative with the analysis. So we don't just want the black and white text rolling on down. We want something nice, neat, concise, and very explanatory that anybody can pick up. Because remember, especially Michael, he's already frustrated. So you don't want to give him a document where he's got to read a whole bunch just to get to the point. He wants to be able to get the main point, and then if he wants to see or get more of the supporting information, then they make that choice to read. Now, of course, Nikki and myself will read it all regardless, because that's what we're here for. But if you're making it for Michael, you want to make sure that you do it flipped from an academic perspective. Does that make sense?
Just to clarify, our primary audience, is it going to be you or Michael?
That is a fantastic question. I am not the primary audience. Michael is going to be the primary audience.
Okay.
Yeah. Did you read anything in the Facebook post about how horrible of a grader I am?
There's nothing about you, I promise. It was about just the class in general.
No, I'm just kidding.
This class
I'm just kidding.
So I just wanted to make sure that there were clear guidelines, and in looking at the rubric, it definitely looks clear. So I'm very happy with that.
Good. I'm glad, because everything is clear, but even though we strive for complete clarity, sometimes things may be a little confusing. So that's why I just want you to know that Nikki and I are both here to answer questions and just fully engage. So this is a good course too, because it takes all of what we do and it goes from different industries, so we get a good flavor of what people go through. And let's see, really, that is what I was hoping to talk about. We hit the main points, like the assignments are due on 8 o'clock. Oh, hey, Nikki. Nikki's here. Assignments are due at 8 a.m. prior to the week of discussion. Then we jump into the discussions. The template, please make one even better than this. Make it as creative as you like, because as I said when we started, feel free to make some mistakes. I'm going to make some mistakes. None of us are perfect, and especially in the creative world that we live in, we have to take chances with that creativity. So here's my grading promise to everyone. Nikki and I will not deduct points if you try something creative and it just doesn't work. I think we've all done that at some point. We made something creative and it just kind of fell flat, didn't do what it was supposed to do, didn't look right, or something else. No points are deducted for that if you try something and it just doesn't work, because we're going to be looking at the content for that. So I hope that kind of belays any fears and allows you to express yourself creatively in these assignments, to the point where you have your own look and feel to everything that you do. It's almost like we're branding, we're creating our own brand, if you will. Does that make sense, Jen?
Yes, very much.
Okay, good. So I just want to make sure that point is out there, because I know a lot of people talk about this course. And Nikki, did you want to jump in and say anything?
No, I'm sorry I'm late to the party. I didn't even realize 5:30 had already passed. So I just wanted to pop in and say hello if anybody's there. Hi, Jen.
Hi.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you in the class. Yeah, just wanted to come and say hi.
Awesome.
Mhm.
So Nikki and I are going to be going through everything, and I was just telling Jen that we're not the audience for these assignments. The different people within the cases are the audience. So that's why get creative, have some fun with it, and especially when we start in our discussions next week, where you have to have that hard yes or hard no, have some fun with it, get creative. Feel free to even use an alias, whatever funny name might work for the process within whatever area that you're going to be in. So in the discussion for week one are going well. Nikki, you've been engaged with those discussions. They look pretty they're getting to the points where we need to, or the discussions are going deep enough to where it's not just surface level, I would say.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
I totally do. And I didn't know if you, well, so I'm just looking through the discussions right now for the first question, and they're really good. So I'm excited.
Right. Yeah, they are, right? I thought that too.
Yeah, and I didn't get a chance to comment on those, but maybe. So, do you know all these live sessions that you're having? Are they going to be mandatory or?
They are not mandatory. Live sessions
Right.
never mandatory, just open. If you could make it, great. I'm going to record all of them and post them. So hopefully people can watch them if they choose to, or they see live recording and say, no, thank you. It's all good. Yeah.
Yeah,
All good.
totally. Yeah, I agree. But yeah, I'm excited to have everybody post their response to Greg Gerson. I always had trouble saying that. The Gregerson. Well, I guess they were all supposed to. Okay, never mind. I'm sorry. Anyway, that was, I think, the first case that we had when I took it, like 4 years ago or whatever, and it was like one of the rowdiest sessions that we had. So I will never forget it. So
Nice.
mhm.
Rowdy is good. A lot of good things
Yes,
come from rowdy.
yes, that is my opinion. But the template that you were showing Jen, what was that about? So when they do their case upload
Oh,
at the end, they can use any kind of structure?
So let's say Monday, it's Michael Bishop Monday, right?
Mm-hmm.
So take this, make a better cover page, anything else, better color scheme if you like. And this follows the rubric that we have. So
Mm-hmm.
they can just put their responses right in here and use this as a template to go all the way through. So this is for our analysis that we turn in at 8 a.m. on Mondays.
Mm-hmm. Okay. We didn't do that when I was taking it. We just put in a Word doc. So I'm glad that they updated that because it's pretty intense just as a Word doc. So.
Yeah, well, this is this is my deal here because I don't. I'll tell on myself now. I've worked in industry a long time, so
Mm-hmm.
I don't like reading just black and white text paper.
Oh yeah, I think it would be a lot better to have it in this format to just
Yeah,
look at, and in general just
yeah.
organize too.
Yeah, so I say it's organized, and I was telling her that in business writing versus academic writing, we flip it. We put the main point first and then support, as opposed to academia, we put all the support and then the point. So we need to flip it to make the point first and then support. It makes the reading a lot easier, and it makes it easier for the folks on the other end.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
With these case studies, is there one right answer, or are we able to provide, our recommendations and like provide a good argument for them and still get like good grades?
That is a fantastic question. And Nikki, I'm going to use one of your lines if that's okay. Remember when Nikki said it was a rowdy class? Because there is never a one single right answer, because there are so many different things pushing and pulling on the situation that there are always answers that are better than the other, but there is no perfect right or wrong answer. Now, as far as who's a stakeholder, who's the SME, who's a client, now there's right and wrong for that. But the solutions and challenges and things like that you're coming up with, there is no definitive, this is the only thing. This is the best way. Not going to happen in work or in these cases.
Okay. Okay.
Unless,
Well,
I will add there really quick that there are really wrong answers though when it's just obvious that a person hasn't read the story, but that never happened.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yes.
Yeah, so I mean, it's obvious, but yeah, that would be the only thing I could add to that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And if your opinion is different than mine or Nikki's, it's wrong. Just kidding. That was a joke.
No, just George's. You're totally fine. Yeah, it's really interesting for that reason because everybody has their own opinion, and then you kind of get to know, how people think. And I think some of the people in the introduction anyway already talked about that because they were saying that they noticed that if they're in business, they're different from higher ed and so forth, and that is completely true. So it'll be interesting to see what everyone says.
It is, and just state your case well, like you said, Jen. That's the key.
Mm-hmm.
Because like in any of these cases, I've personally got a pretty good education from the University of Hard Knocks on some of these. Yeah, where I had the absolute best solution, but I didn't argue it good enough, and it simply got beat by solutions that were not as good.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to tell you my favorite story now. Was when I was a mechanic, actually, and we were working on some special operations C-130s. So those are big airplanes with 4 propellers on them. And we had to make a solution because the plane wasn't flying straight, it was flying crooked. And yeah, there was a whole fleet of them that were flying crooked for some reason. And the Air Force came to us and they said, okay, here's the parameters that we're going to work with. We're going to look at costs, we're going to look at this, that, and all the other stuff. And we need your solution, your competitor over here. We gave them the same stuff. Whoever comes up with the best solution is going to win. Well, I was the technician, electronics technician. We had engineering. We had all kinds of folks with us. And we came up with the single most awesome solution there was. It was super high tech and super expensive. and it was great for us.
Yeah, I would think so.
It was fantastic, but our competitor basically came up with what amounted to a string hanging from the ceiling and a washer on it to see if it was flying straight or not. So they ended up getting the contract, right? I mean, it wasn't that simple, but
Yeah, yeah.
that's how we talked about it, because
Mhm.
our solution was so awesome. So it's important to actually read the case and decide what's important for the players in the case, and not what's important for you, what's important for them.
Mhm.
Right. But if you have to make some assumptions about the case, like, is it okay to do that? Like, if, for example, when in the case study when we're reading it, if it doesn't tell you what the budget is or something else, is it okay to say, well, in our assignment, to like say, oh, the budget is blah, 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 and then work within that in our solutions, or?
Yeah, if you do have to make decisions like that, just make it known.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, as long as you make it known like that, yes. And if you're going to make other assumptions that aren't like budget, things like that, those are pretty binary in decisions. But if you're making choices about uh, things that could be in the gray area of the case, make sure that you're making them from what you would consider their perspective, not your perspective.
Okay.
Yes, I mean we always had, that was I think one of the reasons the class was rowdy, because everyone had their own assumptions. And so I remember when I was taking it, she said, make sure you have a section that says assumptions and you can bullet point those so that everyone knows what you're thinking when you submitted that. So that's perfect. Basically everything George said.
Okay.
Sorry, making noise. So I think we hit everything. We looked at the case, we looked at the discussions, we looked at the Padlet, and I'll be posting the interactive video with the template tonight if I get it working, or tomorrow morning.
All right.
So, yeah.
Good.
Nikki, you got any overs for anybody that may be listening?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, rock and roll. Jen, how about yourself? Any overs before we call it concluded?
Nope.
All right. Well, I will post this. Thank you for participating, Jen. And Nikki's always good to see you.
Yes.
Appreciate all you do.
Yeah.
And me too, Jen. Appreciate it. And I just want to tell everybody that may listen to this. So if you didn't listen to it, you don't get to hear this. But I appreciate the way everybody is digging into the discussions, because cursory level, surface level discussions are always boring. And I strive to not be boring. So I
Yeah.
appreciate it when you dive in and get into some arguments, and, respectfully, of course, but get into some disagreements about who does what does who, and everything else. And it makes it a good learning experience for all of us.
Yep.
I agree.
All right. So everybody have a fantastic week.
Same to you. Thank you.
All right. You're
You too.
welcome. Bye-bye.